at the way that we're constructing these arguments. And they're leaving the religion and trying to use our arguments against us to show how stupid, our religion is. And I use that in quotations because I'm not being literal, I'm trying to emphasize what they say. So it's difficult for me to see a benefit in it because of that. And that's one of the reasons that I'm arguing against the position, is because that's one of the main ones that I hear come up every time in these discussions. Like, oh, you people think there are miracles in your holy book, these scientific miracles, and they construct articles and every day trying to refute this, and it looks quite foolish. And that's another reason you mentioned that doctors have converted to Islam because of scientific miracles. I will tell you that Hamza Sortzes himself stopped using the argument because he realized, after having debated so many times, that it was not a good position to have. And in fact, I actually discussed with him when he released that article refuting his previous position. He suggested that he didn't take I want to be fair to him, because he said he never took a full, he never embraced the argument fully, but he did believe in some aspects of the Quran having scientific miracles. But he later retracted it. He said, I can't do this anymore, because he knows it was a very flimsy position to have. So he no longer uses it at all. If you look at his latest lectures, he's completely against that now. He doesn't even go into it at all. Doesn't mention embryology, doesn't do anything like this. He just goes, he's actually mentioned some of the arguments that I mentioned. The fitra, he mentions cosmology, design, things like this. So, and he's a much higher figure in that respect. And so, anybody else have any questions? Once again, yep.
I think majority of us here coming here to get some knowledge about atheism and to understand this group of atheists, so that we can have a better understanding how to da'wah to them. But at one point of your lecture, you mentioned that after all this lengthy discussion and argument, you said something like very difficult to use. Don't use this. It is not the best. It's not the best way for da'wah. But the best way of da'wah is by good manners.
Yes.
Okay. And then on the other hand, I just want to make simple analogy with science and the applied science. Science, let's say for example electricity, about the electron, neutron, whatever things, there is science behind it. But applied science is just, I need the lamp there, the light, the switch on, I use it. So for this particular lecture, very good lengthy discussion and argument, however for me, I want the applied the application of this in terms of da'wah to non-Muslims.
Okay. As for your first one, I still stick to my opinion that good character is the best form of da'wah. Now at the same time, I don't think that I've completely made my arguments irrelevant, because I wouldn't be standing here otherwise. I'm not trying to be contradictory, but I said the human heart is more susceptible to accepting truth than the human mind. That's always been the case. So when people see a good moral person, they're more attracted to the truth that they have to offer as a result of that. This doesn't mean that intellectual arguments are ineffective, however. Intellectual arguments can help to break down the mind to the point where it needs to rely on the heart in order to accept the faith. So we have to utilize both, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us not only to purify ourselves, to make ourselves better, but He also asks us to reflect. We have minds and we have hearts in order to be completely human. So we must utilize both of those at all times. And in the same way, and I mentioned what Imam Malik said again, just to emphasize this point, without Sharia, you cannot have tasawwuf, and without tasawwuf, you cannot have Sharia. Okay, one is an application of real world, of using rationality and reason, fiqh, to understand the problems that we're facing. Okay, it's a science. Tasawwuf is a science of the heart. But if you have one without the other, you either fall into heresy or what? Kufr, right? So, you cannot just do tasawwuf without sharia, because then you just become, without any reflection, you just become, very flimsy with everything, very liberal, right? And you cannot have the sharia without tasawwuf, because you become hard and cold. You become without mercy, right? You can use your morals. So we always have to have a balance in this respect. Now, the second thing that you mentioned, actually, can you repeat one more time the second question? Applied science. You want to know how to apply these arguments. Okay, in this first session, I have given you some counter responses to some of these arguments. So I have given you some practical means in order to debate. However, the main reason for today was simply to express their beliefs and to express their main arguments and where they come from, so that you have a full understanding of exactly who they are and how they perceive things. And this will better you for tomorrow, because tomorrow we're actually going to be learning the methods of debate, atheist psychology, how to apply certain things, how to counter the arguments in an appropriate fashion, what sort of manners to use, when to see if the argument is valid or not valid. Okay, so that when you enter into discussion with an atheist, you know exactly what to expect and you know how to respond. So I'm giving you some of those practical means right now through argumentation, like counter arguments, like the one I mentioned in the last session, okay, like for the existence of God, and things like this. However, I have yet to go into the methodology and how to apply it in full, which we'll get into tomorrow, and I hope it's going to be fun for you. It's going to be a little bit more technical tomorrow, because we're going to be discussing a lot of different philosophical terminologies and things like this. But when you utilize them, when you memorize them, and you go into a debate, and you go in using these things that I've taught you, you should come out very effectively. In the very least, you may not convert these people, but you will prevent other Muslims from listening to them. Do you understand? Which is actually one of the purposes for this as well. And I'm going to give you a very, maybe you consider this shocking, but my concern for da'wah against atheists, or for atheists, is not to convert atheists. I am not trying to teach you how to convert atheists. I know this sounds strange. Okay? That is up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah guides who He wills. Okay? No matter how much you try, you're not going to convert anyone. Okay? It's up to them, and it's up to, Allah wants them to. Alright? I am trying to give you the means to prevent yourself and to prevent those nearest to you from going in that direction. That is my major concern. My major concern is stopping people from apostating, not bringing people to Islam. I want people to come to Islam. I'm saying this is rewarding. This is something that we should aspire to do. But the problem that we're facing now in our society is a lack of religiosity, and it's a lack of Islam within our own community. And before we can start thinking about converting the kuffar who are not in our society, we need to stop our own members from going over to them. So that we can actually have a leg to stand on. Because if they say, oh, why should we join your religion when your own people are coming over to our side? What are we going to respond? Oh, we don't care about them? We care more about you?
See, that statement is very common among the Aborigines in Malaysia. It says, why should I become a Muslim? Look at you all. Are you Muslim? Yeah, no. Exactly. You don't keep your time.
Precisely. So I mean, in the same way, we need to be more concerned about our brothers and sisters before we're concerned about the kuffar. Okay? Because they will actually, if they deconvert, if they become apostates, not only damaging themselves, but they're damaging our societies. Because the apostate, or the munafiqun, or the khawarij, all these people who are outside the fold of Islam are more dangerous to us than the kuffar. They're much more dangerous to us. They can cause much more damage. So we need to, first off, facilitate the healing of our own society. We need to put a band-aid on it first. We need to make sure that less people leave the religion, and then after we stabilize the situation, we can focus on the outside. So I'm not asking you to go to Europe and start debating with atheists. Okay? But trust me, that'll be very unsuccessful. There are so many of them there, and they have a very strong following. They're most likely not going to listen to you, especially when they're having such an easy time taking our brothers and sisters over to their side. So we need to focus on our own community first. Any other questions? Yes. Yes, sir.
I'm not sure